when you yield your life over to God, then you allow his plan to take over, and he can
Mm-hmm.
show you how to overcome and be successful in all of those areas. It's just a matter of trusting
Mm-hmm.
him when uh despite the plan that we originally had.
Different, and so that made me feel like, I allowed my children to travel this eastern seaboard. Wherever he was, I allowed them to do that. You know what I mean? And at that time, my husband allowed them to do that. And I'm not asking for anything. I'm asking him to do what he's responsible. This is his responsibility.
Right.
This is his responsibility. So, I did have a small issue with that, but again, Chantel, it is what it is now. It
Yes.
really is. It really is.
And
It
God
really
is
is.
fatherless, and he provides for those
All the time.
areas that we need for our children and ourselves.
All the time. And I tell you, I just thank God for God. I say that all the time because I just look at the things that I've been through, and, the things that could have potentially even took me out of my children's life. You know what I mean? And I just thank him daily just for mercy, just for grace, just for seeing me through this, because I tell everybody that, that I talk to. And I'm nervous, Chantel. I'm sorry. I'm so nervous doing this.
You're good. I couldn't even tell you nervous.
I am nervous. But I'm gonna tell everybody, I don't want them to look at me and think that it was easy, because it definitely was not. It definitely was not a storybook. Um, I I went through. I went through. And I think God allowing my husband to find me, that was, we always say it was divine appointment, because it was, it was him that backed me once I got it together, knew what I wanted to do. His extra pushing, his extra nudge, and just making sure that my kids constantly, that they were okay from the time he entered their lives until now. He is he makes sure that we're okay, and I'm just forever grateful. I tell him all the time, I'm so grateful that God allowed you to find me, because I needed that. I needed that.
Yeah, that is beautiful. So, what would be, because being a single mother is such a wide,
Mm-hmm.
it's a broad concept, and just like you said, it's not an easy journey, and it's not an easy journey for anybody. What would be
Mm-hmm.
something that you would share to encourage a mother that's watching, that she may be feeling like nobody understands what she's going through and how hard it is?
I would tell them never give up. And I say this all the time. As a single mother, no matter how, whether, no matter what led to, this choice, well, not a choice, I'm sorry, this situation. It may look bleak. God knows it may look bleak, but never give up. Never stop fighting. Always continue to push forward. You know, Chantel, like I said, you get those nights where you want to break down. The only thing that I can tell them is never give up. You know, even I think a lot of times, even with me, for my girls, some of those nights I would have to make sure that I put them down early, just so I could clear my mind. So even if it's though, even if it takes you to go on a walk, even if it, whatever it is, you have to keep pushing. And you know, that's that would be the most that I think just never giving up. For me, it was just never giving up. I pushed and pushed and pushed, even when I didn't feel like it. I pushed. And it's going to be nights where you don't feel like pushing. But I'm going to tell you, get up, get up, because joy is definitely going to come in the morning. Even on those nights you don't know what y'all going to eat, when you don't know how these bills are going to get paid. I'm telling you, God is able. And as long as I know that He is my guide and He is my light, He is my beacon, I know that I'm okay.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, my encouragement to them is never give up. Never give up. There's so many resources out here for us. And, it's help. It's help. So even if you have to get into some sort of women's group or something, just to release, sometimes we just need a release, we need to vent. And I think that a lot too, for me, that was one of the things that helped enlighten me. I was able to talk to women that was a little bit older but was still teen mothers, but I saw them getting it. Like they were they were young, but they were determined to make it happen. So that's another thing that's important, to try to get around people who may have experienced that, but you know can assist you and provide you with the resources or something, just to encourage you to and let you see that, you know what, it it can happen. It can happen. So, sometimes we have to get around, when I say like-minded people, you may not think that way, but once you surround yourself with people that's doing something different, that's your encouragement. That you see that it can happen, it can work.
Your association is extremely important, because not only do you need to build that support group around you, but you also need to have people who are going to stretch you and push you and encourage you to go for your dreams. And you don't want to associate around people who are going to constantly keep pulling you back into that negativity and drama, because it's very easy, because being a single mother can make you angry because you're not getting that.
Oh yes.
So if you surround yourself around people who are always bitter and angry and talking about they know good baby daddies and stuff, you're going to stay in that same place as well.
And I'm telling you,
be around people who are going to encourage you.
Because again, that just goes back to, we don't have a choice. So you can spend this time being angry, bitter, and mad, and thinking every thought that you're thinking through today is how you're going to get back to making their life miserable. You're only making your life miserable. So, I say, why do that? Associate yourself, be around people. Like I said, I saw there were plenty of women who were a couple of years older, but they were teen parents, and they were making it happen. And that's what made, I was like, oh my goodness, I want that. I want that. I want to be that powerhouse. Like, I don't want to forever live in my circumstance. Like, I just didn't want that for myself. Like, I wouldn't be able to be a service to my children being that person.
Right.
And I never wanted my children to see me to fail. I never wanted this. I didn't want them to see me as a woman and they're like, Mom, what? I just feel I'm that type of parent that I feel like, if you want your kids to do right, do right. You as a parent, do right. And so, like I said, I've seen these women and these associations and the people that I was with, and they were powerhouses, and I just wanted that so bad. And they made it look easy, but they let me know that it was not easy. And that's what I think with a lot of women, we think we, when we're in situations like this, when it comes to parenting alone and things of that nature, the first failure or, whatever happens, you're ready to pack up and give in. That's another thing. You can never give up. You have to keep going. You have to keep going. So,
I'm glad you said that, because I read this quote the other day, and when you were talking about that, it reminded me of it, so I had to find it so I could read it again. And it says, "It's okay if you fall down and lose your spark. Just make sure that when you get up, you rise as the whole fire."
Mm.
And you have
I need you to say that one more time.
It says, "It's okay if you fall down and lose your spark. Just make sure that when you get back up, you rise as the whole fire." Every time
that
I
just
read
blessed
that,
my soul.
it just ignites another fire in me. Like, we are going to have times where it seems like we failed. It seems like we have fallen down. It seems like we have lost our spark, lost our joy. Things are not going the way that we're supposed to go. But we have to get back, and when we get back up, we're going even higher. We're taking out everything around us.
Yes. And that's the thing. Like I said, if you lay down in your circumstance, if it's always woe me, because I could have done that. And I think for a little bit that was even me though, Chantel. It was woe me, you continue to live and you think back and even blaming, I really, a lot of times I blame. That's why I think I carried that bitterness that anger so long when it came to my parents, because I just, continue to say, if this wasn't this, or if this wasn't that, I had to come up and get out of that. Get out of that woe is me mentality, because okay, you went through this, but now what you gonna do about it? How are you gonna make this circumstance different? Because your children need you to make this circumstance different. And for me, I was vigilant and making sure I wanted to give them the best experience that I could possibly give. It was just us three, and it was just going to be us three, and I was good with that. Once I came to that understanding, it was just going to be us. It was okay. Now, at that time, I still was broken, but I still had to get up and move. And keep in mind, but Chantel, for me, I remained broken for a long time. I was always the funniest person in the room, but that saying, the happiest person in the room or the funniest person in the room is always the saddest person in the room. And that was me for a long time, until I decided, and keep in mind, I was a whole mental health major. Studied these things, drank these things, ate these things. So I knew where I was, but I was still wearing the head of, I didn't want anybody to know my experience. Only the closest of the close knew my experiences, and that was my best friend and my husband. I had to make a choice in my mid-30s to sit down and really speak with somebody and pour my heart out. It wasn't until then that I started unpacking all these things, and that I was able to understand and know that, I was just a broken individual, or what my friend always, or what we always refer to in our household, I was a dressed up trash can. Oh gosh, girl. But I think for me, it's just the importance of not laying in it and trying to, understand that, yep, it's just us, and we're gonna have to make the best of it.
It's funny that you said the unpacking, because I've studied these things, and it's easy, especially if you work in behavioral health or mental health. You know the signs, these things, you can self-diagnose, but sometimes you just sit in that stuff, because it hurts when you have to go through it and unpack these things.
Yep.
And
Yep. And you don't want to do that.
exactly. But when you were talking, just this came to my mind, is that you can't carry your babies and carry all this baggage at the same time.
Say it. Say
So
it.
you
Say
have
it.
to let one of the two go, and you're not gonna let your babies go. So you gotta let
No,
the baggage
no,
go.
no. And even, we think we're protecting our children, or we think we've got it so much together, because to me, I was going to be something different. I was going to raise my kids different. This was my chance, even though I was a single mom. Once I, put my little running shoes on, I just knew that I could be every woman or everything that my children needed. But even some of those things that I went through, or my brokenness, I could, you could see some of those, I could, once my children started growing up, I'm like, where did you get that from? They got it from me. They got it from me. Because when you think your children aren't watching, they're watching, and they're picking up, they're looking, they're listening. And I'm like, but where did you get that from? They got it from you. They got it from you. So, you just have to be very careful of the things you say, the baggage that you wear, all of those things when it comes to raising these children, because, you're passing these curses on.
Exactly.
You're passing them on. Just like, what my father, just watching my father, I vow I would never, I'm never going to be a drinker. I'm never going to be a smoker. I'm never going to indulge. And I didn't. But I picked up a lot of other traits that carried me into addictive personality.
Right.
So, even though I may not have indulged in drugs, I may have never been a drinker, but I have had situations where I really developed addictive personalities, and one of those were just thinking, you need this man, you need this man, you need this man to get, it's okay. That was one of the, just having to have someone in my life no matter what, but that came along with not really having anyone there. So the first person that really showed you attention is like, whether it's good or bad, it's attention, so I'm gonna take it.
Right, because you're comfortable with being by yourself. And
Right.
I was listening to a message earlier, and he was explaining why people end up staying in relationships, because they are he said it's called trauma bonding. And so people are gravitating towards people not because they're good for them or they love them, but because they both have gone through trauma. And so it's just something to bond you together, and you just stay in this relationship even if it's unhealthy for you, because you don't want to be by yourself. So you have that fear of rejection.
And two, I think for me, I saw a storybook where I thought, even though you can see signs, you see the signs, and again, I told you, you functionally are making it through dysfunction, and so you see the signs, but for some reason you think that it's going to be different for you. So we stay in this stuff because for some reason we think that it's just you see a fairy tale and you think it's gonna be different for you. And so therefore we just stay in it versus leaving. And I can honestly tell you, it probably would have took me a long time to realize that I'm just frankly speaking, in the state of mind that I was in as a child, and I thought I knew it all. Do you understand me? I thought I knew it all. So in the state of mind I was in, that was my way of thinking. And I probably would have stayed in something that wasn't good for myself or my children way longer than I should have. Because I think I look at my mom and, everybody is saying, and I think I asked her one day, like, why did you stay?
Mm-hmm.
And and I said, because, and she said, no, I asked her, why did she stay? And I want to say she said, for you.
Mm.
And I was talking to my girlfriend and I said, so many women stay for their children, but if they just ask their children, you know, what is it that you would have me to do? I can guarantee you it would be a high percentage. Probably well over 95% of those children would tell you to pack up and leave and never look back.
Yes.
So, and I said to myself, oh my goodness, I just wish you hadn't have. But, this is her testimony. This is her story. This is, so for whatever reason it was, that she did stay, she stayed and they're, you know, still married, still doing well. They're living for God. They're praising God. And I'm grateful, but I probably could have seen myself in that same cycle. So because I continued to cry out that I wanted something different, I knew I wanted something different, but didn't know what it was. God said, okay, let me give you something different.
Right.
Let me go ahead and remove this stumbling block. And now you're going to get something different. But I didn't see it as something different. I was like, oh my God, I thought it was the end. And gracious, it was the beginning. And I'm so grateful and thankful to him for doing that.
Yeah.
No matter how hard it was, I tell anyone, if I had to do it, if I had to go through what I went through in order to get to this very stage in my life, Chantel, I would travel the same road a million times to get to exactly where I am today.
Yes. I've said that on multiple occasions. I would not want to imagine replaying my life and then not having the children that I have, not having the experience and the wisdom that I have, because
yes,
one of the huge things is that we didn't go through this for nothing. We went through this and it's a testimony to help somebody else. And so if we would have never gone through it, who would we have been not able to help because we couldn't give them the word they needed when they needed it, because we didn't have that experience. And so just like, when a year ago I went through a miscarriage, before that I could not give anybody any I couldn't really console somebody who experienced that, because I didn't know what it felt like. And then now I know, now I can help somebody else. So what you go through is essential to you being able to help somebody else. But I love what you said about, how many women stay for their children, but not realizing that if it was up to the children would have you to leave, because they don't want to see you go through that, and they don't want to go through that. And so you're doing your kids a disservice by staying in a toxic relationship.
Yes.
To save face or to try to give them the 2-parent household, because it's better to have a healthy single-parent household than to have a toxic 2-parent household.
Yes, because I know, I know my mom, and I thought 1,000 times, like, she doesn't want to deal with it, but she leaves me here to deal with it. So I told you that's how a lot of more of my anger was geared towards her than it actually was to him, because he only could do what she allowed, right? So I'm sitting here like, how selfish as parents we can be, sometimes, we can be selfish, and we could again stay in these situations. And and the shelf life expired years ago. But people do whatever it is that they feel that they need to do at the time. But like I said, it's up if you ask these children, and I wouldn't even age where even I would say, some people, well, how do it? You can ask the children at any age. I think that they're able to verbalize it and understand the difference in good and bad. Like you said, your son was 1 year old, and I can guarantee you, if he was able to verbalize at that time, he would have said, "Mommy, run."
Right.
Right. And so for me, I just, the only thing I could say was, I just wish she hadn't, but she had to do what she felt was best at the time, but again, I like I said, I seen way too much. I had to get in between fights, and it was a lot. It was a lot. And I just, I'm like, God, I could never. And there I was on the road with these babies, having my kids early, just as she had me, and stand because, you seen your grandmother do it, the next generation do it, that song, I think of the song where I think was Betty Wright when she said, "Don't blame Mr. Charlie because Mr. Charlie is just a man." And, they feel like you might be a little bit too young.
I don't know that song, but I look it up.
And she says at the end, and he's doing the best he can, and we're okay with that. We're okay with the best that they feel that they can do, and we just deserve so much more. Our children deserve so much more. And, again, I'm going to continue to say, even if my children are adults, they deserve the best version of me that I could ever give them, because we have to understand that, we are their first vision of people.
Yeah.
And I say people because they're home with us. Your 1 year old was home with you. And if he saw that, he would have thought, even though he know you're his mom, and as he got older, that would have sent him over the edge, but then he would have mimicked the same behavior when it came to someone else's daughter.
Exactly.
Even though he would be really, really angry because you're his mom, but it would be okay for someone else's child to go through that. So your decision to get up and run was the best decision that you ever could have made, because again, we are our children's first vision of life and how it should and could be lived.
Well, I have loved this conversation with you today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have gotten something from this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Send this to anybody that you know who needs this, especially, maybe they're not a single mom. Maybe they're in a relationship, but they need to hear a word or a confirmation that maybe they need to move on and stop living in that dysfunction for the health and benefit of their children. So share this. And I just love you all, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, it's me, Song, and I am here today to tell you about some amazing news. I am launching my course, Girl Get Your Whole Life, this November. Yes, November 27th, the course will be released, and you can sign up now for a limited time discount of 50% off on the course. We have general admission and we have VIP admission. I'm going to help you get your whole life together, spirit, soul, and body. We're going to break down all those different things that are hindering you, dealing with those trauma issues from your past. We're going to talk about our health and our wholeness in every aspect of life, so you can get your whole life together. So, girl, go get your whole life and find out more about this course.